Have you ever wondered why it seems like a lot of African marriages, a lot of Nigerian marriages abroad tend to break up? Like, this issue has been reoccurring. It's been something that even before I came into the UK, I've read articles about how African marriages are breaking up in the UK. And living here myself, it's a very serious issue because marriages tend to break up a lot. And it's really a thing that everyone should be concerned about. For those of us who are married abroad, for those who are planning to move abroad, married, and for everyone who plans to get married and move abroad in the future, this topic is something we really need to talk about because, you know, I've been wondering about this. Like, I've been thinking about this for a while. Like, why is this happening? And that's why I'm making this video. And guys, I want this video to be very interactive, so I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section. All right, I've come up with some reasons why it seems like a lot of African marriages are breaking up in the UK. So we're just going to dive right into the video without wasting much time. My name is Tochi. You guys are welcome to my channel. Please like this video, share it to everyone so they can benefit from it as well. And to all my returning subscribers, you guys are welcome back. Now, I remember that when my husband first came to the UK, because he came alone first, somebody advised him that he should not bring his family, should not bring his wife. He should rather work and send money back home to his family, to his wife, because he might bring his wife here and she will open eyes and begin to cause trouble for him, you know, things like that. And it baffles me that a lot of people living abroad have this kind of mentality even till date, because the law seems to protect women's rights and all that. So they would come here, experience the liberty, the freedom, they'll begin to challenge you, they'll begin to fight you, and they won't really want to submit to you anymore. And I'm like, okay, so why are people still reasoning like this, right? So because one person had that issue, they expect that every other person who is going to bring their spouse is going to have the same issue. So this brings me to my first point, which is very obvious, and that's the fact that women's rights are protected here. Like, there are laws that protect women and children, there are laws that protect the vulnerable, so you shouldn't treat them anyhow. And remember, coming from Africa, right, where anything goes, right, you can just do anything and get away with it. It's not like that here. There are some things that you can't get away with. So if you're physically abusive, if you beat your wife, or you don't support her physically, emotionally, you torment her, you torture her, and vice versa, okay, for women who also physically abuse their husbands and all of that, those things are frowned at here. Like, it's not accepted, it's not tolerated abroad at all. So if you're somebody that is used to doing those kind of things to your spouse back in your home country, back in Nigeria, back in Africa, you know, you come here with that mentality, right? And she has come here, she has understood the kind of country she lives in, that actually her rights are protected. Actually, you're not supposed to do such things to her. If you do those things to her here, of course she's going to report you, the police is going to get involved, social service will get involved, you know, things like that, and it begins to cause cracks here and there, and before you know it, you hear that this couple have separated. So these are some of the issues that some marriages abroad deal with. The second reason why I think marriages abroad break up is the fact that house chores is something that you will never run away from, because you live in a home with your family, you live with your spouse, you'd have to live together, cook together, clean together, live in the same space, and if you don't manage it well, it's definitely going to cause issues, right? So let's say you are coming from Africa, or you're coming from a country where you have everything at your beck and call. As a man or as a woman, you have so many help, so many nannies, you don't even know how to do anything, you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to clean, you don't know how to change babies' diapers, right? You don't know how to do basic things around the house because back home labor is cheap and you have people doing these things for you. Or you are among the category of men that believes that a woman's place is in the kitchen, so you don't have anything to do with, you know, the kitchen and all you have to do is basically provide for your family and things like that. You are the man of the house, right? If you are among such men with that kind of mentality and you come abroad, you're definitely going to have issues living with your wife. So imagine that you have kids and your wife has to take care of the kids all by herself. She has to cook, clean, and then go to work, because abroad most times you have a lot of bills to pay, and most times one person's salary cannot take care of the responsibilities of the family. One person's salary cannot take care of the whole bills and then everything you have to do as a family. The two parties parties have to work, right? No matter how small the second person's income is, it still helps, right? It means a lot. So she has to go to work in this scenario as well, and then she comes back, she still has to clean, cook, do everything, and then she gets pregnant in the process. You still leave everything for her. Pregnancy alone, women will agree with me that pregnancy alone is a lot, right? Is a lot of work. And then you now leave everything for your wife to do. She goes to work, comes back home, she has to still cook for you that has been at home for a long time. She has to still clean, take care of the baby, you know, do all the things around the house by herself all the time. She might get to her limit, she might be frustrated. Guys, abroad is hard. That's the truth. Living abroad is very hard, and it takes understanding and patience to be able to survive abroad. For you to marry a spouse who is understanding and who helps. If you understand that marriage is a partnership, then your marriage would work. Like, you don't have to leave the work for just one person, right? Because if you leave the work for just one person abroad is depressing. In fact, there is a lot. Moving abroad, you have to go abroad where you are away from your family, you're away from your friends, you're away from support, the basic support that you need, right? You are just all alone abroad, living by yourself, navigating life all by yourself. And then you go to work and come back and still have to deal with a toxic spouse or a spouse who doesn't support you, you know, something like that, right? You might get frustrated, you might get depressed, you might just get to a point where you say, oh, I've reached my limit, I'm not doing again, I can't take this anymore, right? This kind of things causes cracks. They keep arguing, they keep fighting, and before you know it, their marriage just goes sour, right? Just like that. So I remember I even got a message sometime where somebody asked me a very honest question. He was like, we're planning to move abroad, but we just had a new baby and I can't change diapers. I don't know anything about babies. What do I do? Do you advise my wife comes alone? Because that's what we're considering. She'll come alone. I'll stay alone with my family. My mom or my siblings will help me take care of the baby. You know, just something around that. And I was like, honestly, guy, you need to go and learn how to take care of your baby. Like, for how long do you want to keep your baby away from the mother? How long do you want to do that? It's simple. Just go and learn how to clean diapers. Funny enough, some of these men who really don't know how to do some of these things, or who claim they can't change diapers, who claim that they get easily irritated, they come here and they get healthcare assistant jobs and still clean the diaper that they claim they cannot do. You know how funny these things can be, right? So what I advise you, if you're a man, you're a woman, you don't know how to do some of these basic things at home and you plan to move abroad, please learn these things now that you still have the time. Before you move abroad, learn these things. Like I said, if you understand that marriage is partnership, right? If you understand that, see, it's not one person's duty to cook. It's not one person's duty to clean. It's not one person's duty to take care of the home. It's not one person's duty. It's the both of you. You have to collectively do these things to achieve a result. You have to collectively do these things happily. Then you will navigate through it together. No matter how challenging it is, just understand that we are in this together. Then you will go through life together. But if you are not in that category, you just believe that, no, I'm going to skip my legs like this, I'm going to just wait for my wife or my husband to do everything for me, then that's where the issue is. So men especially, please learn to help your wife as much as possible. It's really going to help you guys survive abroad, for the sake of your family, for the sake of your children, for the sake of your wife as well. In fact, for your own sake, please learn to help. Me, I believe in family. I believe that family is everything, right? Family is the strongest unit of the society. And like, if we get some of the things that happen in the family right, then we might not have issues living and surviving in our society. So please, let's try to learn these things so that we won't have issues living abroad. The third point we'll be discussing today is finance. Guys, money is very important in marriages everywhere, right? So I've critically looked at this point and I've discovered that finance, money, is one of the reasons why some couples, some marriages break up living abroad. So let's say a woman is earning more than the husband, and this man is somebody who, coming from Africa, of course we know that majority of the men in Africa earn better than their wives. I'm not saying some men don't, I'm not saying some women don't, but majority of the men back home earn better than their wives. Men are known to provide for their wives. Some women are just known to stay at home and take care of the kids. Most women are stay-at-home wives. Nothing is wrong with that, but this is something most of us are used to, right? When you now come abroad and the table turns, your wife now begins to earn more than you, right? It will begin to cause like cracks in the marriages. There's this insecurity that comes to such kind of men. You know, they can't live with it. They find it very difficult to deal with that situation because the tables have turned. It just begins to cause little cracks here and there in the marriage, and before you know it, it has escalated. So for instance, there are men who are here on study visa, and we know that, you know, for a study visa in the UK, you can't work more than 20 hours a week, right? So you bring your wife as your dependent, and maybe she has a good career, like she's a professional, and then she's lucky enough to get a good job in the UK, and of course she gets a higher pay. She works for longer hours and gets a better pay, so obviously she begins to earn higher than you. And you, on the other hand, because you're the one who came as a student, you're the one who is the main applicant, you can't work for more than 20 hours a week, okay? Some men can't really deal with that, especially men who are used to being the breadwinner, men who are used to earn higher than their wives and just be the boss. They find it very difficult to accept their new situation, and these things begin to cause issues in their marriages. And you also find out that for some people also who are here on work visa, some nurses, some doctors, some accountants, right? Like the wives are the ones who got the visa or who are the professionals, and their husbands join as their dependents. Sometimes very difficult to get a professional job as a dependent, especially if you don't have a professional career, right? Maybe for men who were into business in their home country, who really didn't have like a good profession or don't really have, you know, professional skills and all of that. They come here and end up just getting like minor jobs and all, and because of childcare as well, most of them don't really do as much as they would want to do or earn as much as they would want to earn, because remember, the wife is the one who is on the visa, who got the job, who got the permanent contract, so she has to go to work to fulfill the terms of her contract, you understand? So obviously their wives earn better than them in this situation, so they really find it very difficult to cope with this situation. It causes issues in marriages. And then there are also some men who, despite the fact that their wives earn better than them, their wives are the basic breadwinners in the family, if I'm to put it that way, they still take the woman's money and go and carry out some projects in their home countries in Nigeria. I've heard stories, different stories. This is not even one. This is not funny, guys. Like you will see men who will take their wife's money without their wife's consent, go to their villages or go to their home countries and just start a project for their families, or just start one project in their name without the wife's consent, without the wife's approval. You know, when she finds out, she's really going to be mad, and this of course is going to cause issues. We've seen it happen so many times. We've heard stories like this on so many occasions, and guess what, guys? Most of these couples are no longer living together. They are separated. Next point we'll be discussing why it seems like a lot of African marriages, a lot of Nigerian marriages abroad tend to break up, is the fact that most couples, because of childcare, work opposite shifts, right? So they don't have the time to spend together. They don't have the time to bond, you know, to get to know themselves, to get to, you know, as a family, just spend time together and have that bond as a couple. People rarely have that opportunity because of work. So you see that a man is doing a day shift, so the woman is at home taking care of the kids, doing childcare, school runs and everything. And then once he's coming back from work, the woman is leaving and going to work because she does night shifts, right? So they work opposite shifts, and this happens all the time. They work from week to week, from day to day. They barely have time to spend together as a family. They barely have time to spend together as a couple, right? This country is one country that encourages you to work so hard. Like, guys, you have to work. They have incentives when you work on bank holidays. When you pick extra shifts, they have like incentives. They pay you double amount of money, you know, things like that. Is very juicy. They give you juicy offers just to keep working and working. And then when you look at the bills you have to pay, you look at the responsibilities that you have, you're like, no, I have to go to work, I have to pick extra shifts. And then you just keep working and working and forget to even take care of yourself, talk more of spending time with your family. Before you know it, that's how you just keep going apart. You just keep drifting away, and then it gets to a point when you can't even control it anymore. It gets to a point where you're like, oh, I don't even know the spouse I married anymore. I don't even know the husband I married. I don't even know the wife I married anymore, right? Because you guys are not spending time together. These things are the things that we should consciously make efforts, right? Consciously make efforts to avoid. Try to spend time with your spouse. Try to make time, no matter how little the time is. Take time off work. Just tell yourself, no, I'm not picking that extra shift today. No, I'm not going to work today. I just want to spend time with my family. Make time during the weekends. There are people who don't work weekends. They can work throughout the week, but they tell themselves, you see, this weekend I'm not working. I have to make time for my family. And of course, they have the weekends to spend with their families and all that. So you could just look for what works for you as a family. The last point to be discussing is the fact that there is no societal pressure on women, especially to get married and stay married. Unlike back home, unlike back in Africa, where a woman, you have to get married and you have to stay married. Like, divorce is an abomination. They don't want to even hear. Like, why would you even divorce? Why would you leave your marriage, right? My forefathers didn't leave their marriage. My family, our family have always stayed in their marriage. Your mom will tell you, your grandmother will tell you, oh, we have stayed in our marriage. I stayed in my marriage. Why would you want to leave? You know, things like that. See, there's no pressure here. Nobody is judging you. So whether you are divorced, you just move on freely with your life and you just move out of the marriage. If you're not interested anymore, if it's not working for you anymore, you just end it all and move on with your life. Nobody would judge you. You know, unlike that societal pressure, that, you know, that judgmental attitude we have back in Africa, you know, where once you're divorced, there's this stigma that is on you because you're divorced, like you're a bad person or you can't stay in your marriage. This is a country where everybody's beliefs, everybody's orientation, everybody's status is accommodated. Like, nobody really cares about whether you are married, whether you are divorced, whether you are single. Nobody really cares about that, right? You just work, make your money, pay your bills, and you're good to go. So most women don't really stay in bad marriages. Unlike in Africa, where you see that this person is obviously going through a lot in their marriage, but they just want to stay back because of what people will say, because of what the society will say. Living abroad is hard enough, okay? Talk more of adding bad marriage to it. So once it's not working out for you and you've weighed it, you've seen that it's just not working, let's end it. You just end it and move on with your life, right? So I feel like these are some of the reasons why it seems like a lot of marriages abroad tend to break up. I need to hear you guys' opinion in the comment section. Remember, these are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think. I want to hear your thoughts. I want this video to be very interactive, so drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's continue this conversation there. All right, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.